Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. This is the continuation of that email that was sent to me by one of our admins. The message reads like this. Good morning, Brother Nashi. In my last email, I said that I had spiked the drink of the handyman, and this is what happened next. As soon as he had passed out, I took his phone and I erased everything that was in his phone. I then took that phone and I dumped it in water, left it there, and I then dried it so that he won't even suspect that someone had done this to his phone. I then placed it back into his pocket. All of these things I did it so as to protect my own sanity because he had threatened me. And it was making me to lose sleep. It was not an easy thing for him to sleep with me over and over again without him using any protection. What if I was going to fall pregnant? Then what? I didn't want him to bother me again. So one day I was relaxing, having my breakfast. Suddenly the intercom rang. Well, it was Philly. He was my husband's friend. I then went so as to open the door. I told him that my husband was away, and he said, I am actually here to see you and the kids because it has been a long time since I last saw you. Both of us, we led busy lives. You know, when you are rich, you are always busy. In between school runs, vacations, and running businesses, we had bumped into each other now and then. I was hoping, he said, that I can take you out for lunch on Saturday. He told me that he would want to take me out for lunch and the following weekend. And when I looked at my diary, I saw that I didn't have any appointment at all. And I didn't have any problems with that. Uncle Philly was Mr. Smith's right-hand man and his trusted friend for many, many years. They had been childhood friends and they were still good friends. Saturday came and I put a little effort in the way I dressed and I looked just normal, wearing casual. He needed company since his wife had passed away from cancer. This was like 3 years ago, and his children, all of them, they were in university. One was at Harvard, then the other one was at Oxford. He must be lonely, I thought to myself. Besides, what harm could a lunch date do? Lunch came and he thanked me for my time and we parted ways. Mr. Smith's birthday was coming up and Uncle Philip wanted to organize a surprise birthday party for my husband. Uncle Philip was busy doing the running around for his friend's birthday and he wanted to ensure everything was going to run smoothly. In between the secret planning of Mr. Smith's birthday, we came close with Uncle Philly, too close. I was happy with Uncle Philly and I assured myself that even this happiness was temporary. I would have lived a good life. Uncle Philly treated me and the kids right. He would be there. He would go for their sporting days. Unlike my husband was so focused on making money and making a name for himself that he forgot to live and to be there for his family. But Uncle Philly, he was a different breed. He knew how to talk with me nicely, tenderly, softly. Remember the handyman, he had not given up on me. He was angry at me that he didn't have anything to blackmail me with, but he didn't stop with his little obsession. I could not fire him because I was scared that if I was going to fire him, then maybe it was going to drive him insane. Here and there, I kept on giving him small bonuses so as to quiet him down. You know, these poverty-stricken guys, if you give him some money here, 200 US there, you will get so happy, excited that you won't have any problems with you. But I refused to sleep with him again. My life was now getting complicated. My husband was a very well-respected man, and this handyman situation that I had brought upon my life was something that was a mistake that was never to be repeated again. I kept on reminding myself this. I was a woman of high class, and this had to be dealt with, and I didn't want anything again to do with that handyman. Mr. Smith almost caught us kissing on the night of the party. We would have private moments in the office, in the car. This was with Uncle Philly. I felt life again because the guilt that was in my heart, it forced me, Brother Nashi, to cheat again on my husband. I didn't want to cheat on my husband, but when you are guilty, when you have done it before, it is like it releases this demon that is locked up in our hearts. The moment that I slept with that handyman, I think that my true nature then took hold of me. When Uncle Philly grabbed me, I felt happy. He did this when I was pouring him a juice in the kitchen, because on that night he said that he didn't want to drink alcohol. The reason as to why he didn't want to drink alcohol on that night, it was because he said later on, I wanted to have time with you, and I knew that if I was going to get drunk like your husband, then I was going to miss out on this. I felt happy again, and this was another mistake that I was doing. I had become so daring that one day I invited him over and we had the time of our lives. I wanted Mr. Smith to be sorry that he had treated me like a nobody. I wanted Mr. Smith to be sorry that he had treated me like a nobody. My husband had hated on me for a very long time, and this was like my sweet revenge. He had treated me as if I was junk, like I was a low-class woman, like a doormat. So the best revenge was to serve it cold to him by cheating with his best buddy. Abel had discovered about my little affair with Uncle Philip, and I could see that his eyes were filled with so much jealousy. One morning he came and he knocked on the door. I went out as usual. I was busy brushing my teeth, and I didn't even leave the toothbrush in the bathroom. So when I opened the door, I was surprised that it was him. He said to me, "You dropped me because I don't have money. If I cannot get you, then no one will ever get you." He left, and I laughed when he left, because the way that he was walking, it was funny. He was walking very fast, and he tried to start this argument with me. He went to his old car. It was a little bantam car, a very old one. And he tried to start it, and he could not start it. Well, I went and I helped him to push it down the pavement so that it can actually start. He was just a poor soul, but he was not my class. Maybe if I was poor, we could have tried it, but he was not my class. I stood there, my brother, laughing as he drove off. He was very much obsessed with me, and I needed to deal with his obsession before it was going to get out of hand. Little did I know that Abel, he had gone to this other Sangoma, and he had gotten himself a love potion for me. Let me say that he first went to those apostles, those ones who are from the Red Garment Church. And those guys, they are not like prophets at all. They are just traditional healers. And I didn't know what they gave him, but the following days, he came and he gave me a Coke. He was just drinking this Coke, and it was on a hot day. He poured it in a glass and he took a sip first to prove that there was no poison. He then gave me, and he looked at me directly in my eyes, and I felt something. I felt that something had happened to me instantly, and this is how I started to fall in love with this crazy handyman. I didn't care if my husband was going to find out. I had lost control, and I was more like I was under his control. He rammed me, and I forgot about Uncle Philip, and my friends started to notice that I was acting as if I was an addict. I was addicted to his love. As for my husband, like always, my husband was too busy to notice. But one day, as the helper was sweeping in my bedroom, she said that she found a clay pot under my bed, and it had 2 dolls tied together with a red thread. As soon as I arrived home, the handyman arrived too, because he wanted to take me to his place at the informal settlement. I was a regular at the informal settlement, and I would park my SLK Mercedes, and his friends would wonder how he had managed to get a woman of my class. Upon my arrival, my helper said, "Please, madam, come see." And when I went there, I saw that she had already put it at the backyard. I rushed there and I saw a clay pot with 2 dolls. These 2 dolls, they were tied together. I was filled with fear. I crashed the pot and I told the helper to get matches, and that is when the handyman arrived and he saw me burning the dolls. his face was filled with anger, and he asked me why I was burning those dollies. That is when I realized that he was the one who had put me in this trance. I was just living in a delusional world. Everything that was happening, it was just an illusion. This man, he had been using charms on me, and he had confused me. He had access, of course, to my room because of all the continuous fixing that he was doing at the house. And that was when I started remembering that this guy, whenever he would fix something, then another thing will break down. I had asked him to fix the toilet in my in-suit, and that is the same day that he gave me that coke, and I started falling for him. I looked at him very angry, and I felt something leaving my body. I hated him instantly, and he left after shouting at the helper. That is the last day that I saw his foot at our house. I became the mother to my children again. I had stopped caring even for my children. People out there, they are dangerous. They are quite dangerous, especially these guys that are not of your class, because they will know that by them dating you, you are actually going to pull them out of poverty. But I want to thank God that, God, you saved me from these love charms that this guy had given me. Dear listeners, right there was a second part to the email that we received. If you have any story that you want to share with us, please feel free to contact any of our admins. You can use the WhatsApp line or the email address.